In the book, I hope you'll see everything that we're seeing now, ever since childhood, being ingrained in him. And what his one-time girlfriend Grimes called demon mode. He can snap into demon mode, and he's in demon mode now.
How comforting. Elon Musk is in demon mode, which is probably about as bad as it sounds. But what triggered this latest demon mode of his? So as many of you may know, Elon Musk has a contract with NASA to deliver the lunar lander for the Artemis mission. The goal of Artemis, by the way, is to put boots on the lunar ground by 2028. And the lunar lander is what literally lands on the moon and allows the astronauts to then set foot on the ground. But the problem is SpaceX has not been meeting its deadlines for delivery. And by the way, the goal previously was 2027. So they've already pushed it back to 2028. So that's a whole year of delays. Now SpaceX is threatening to delay things even further. So earlier this week, Sean Duffy, our Secretary of Transportation and also the acting NASA administrator, has reopened Elon's contract to other companies such as Blue Origin, which is of course headed up by Jeff Bezos. So here is Duffy speaking about why he's looking elsewhere.
SpaceX had the contract for Artemis 3. By the way, I love SpaceX. It's an amazing company. The problem is they're behind. They pushed their timelines out, and we're in a race against China. The president and I want to get to the moon in this president's term. So I'm going to open up the contract. I'm going to let other space companies compete with SpaceX, like Blue Origin. And again, whatever one can get us there first to the moon, we're going to take. And if SpaceX is behind, but Blue Origin can do it before them, good on Blue Origin. But by the way, we also might have two companies that can get us back to the moon in 2028. But again, we're not going to wait for one company. We're going to push this forward and win the second space race against the Chinese, get back to the moon, set up a camp, a base, and from there we're going to figure out how we can actually get to Mars.
So Sean Duffy was never supposed to be the NASA administrator, acting or otherwise. The original pick for the role was 42-year-old billionaire and civilian astronaut, whatever that even means, Jared Isaacman. However, earlier this year, Trump yanked Isaacman's appointment, leading Elon to melt down. And you'll remember this because it was during this time that Elon tweeted about Trump being in the Epstein files. He was mad about Isaacman. So here's Elon's biographer, Walter Isaacson, discussing the rift over Jared Isaacman.
Jared Isaacman, who had flown on some SpaceX missions, and Musk knew him, had been nominated to be NASA director. And Trump told Musk, before it became public, I'm yanking Jared Isaacman's appointment. That caused Elon Musk to really go ballistic, so to speak. And it's not because Jared Isaacman is some close personal friend. I've seen them together. They're not pals. But Jared Isaacman is a true test pilot, somebody who's flown in SpaceX vehicles. And Elon strongly believes he's needed at NASA. And Elon is not using the most diplomatic means to try to push that on the administration.
And I will say, just anecdotally, that around these NASA parts where I happen to live, Isaacman was the pick. He was a popular choice here. He's still a billionaire person, whatever, like take that for what it's worth. But he was preferred over what we got with Sean Duffy. So on top of everything, Elon is now spinning out again because Sean Duffy, who again is the Secretary of Transportation for the government, is now advocating for NASA to come under the purview of the department that he oversees. So Eric Berger, he's a local meteorologist and reporter here in Houston. He runs Space City Weather, but he also wrote a book on the rise of SpaceX. And he tweeted, the Wall Street Journal report confirms what I've heard about Duffy pushing for NASA to fold into the Department of Transportation. He's meeting with senators. For him, a win-win. He gets to take credit for NASA's success, but doesn't have to run the agency. And Elon responded with, Sean Dummy is trying to kill NASA. Sean, get it? Do you get the joke? Okay, so Duffy, however, is moving ahead. He says that SpaceX shouldn't be afraid of a little competition. Competition is what drives innovation. And in the end, America wins. Elon has claimed that SpaceX is not only not behind on its deliveries, but it's moving like lightning compared to the rest of the space industry. And that Starship will end up doing the whole moon mission. And he said, mark my words. But you know what? I feel like at what point are we going to learn that Elon Musk is full of empty promises that he doesn't deliver on? Because like he knows that if he says certain things, then people will give him money. If he says, I'm going to do all this, this, and this, I'm going to do it this way, and I'm going to do it by this time frame, people give him money and say, here, you can do it, you do it. But time and time again, he doesn't deliver. Or if he does, he doesn't do it as well as he said he was going to do it. He doesn't do it on time. And right now he is delayed, or SpaceX is delayed on their deliverables for the lunar landing system. And like I wasn't sure how relevant this story would be to the general populace because, like I said, I live in Houston. My husband works at NASA, so this is all like very close to me. So it's hard for me to gauge whether or not people outside of this circle that I exist in care about this stuff. But this is Elon Musk that we're talking about. He's always relevant. People always want to know what he's up to. Whenever he gets too quiet, people get a little bit concerned. But also the idea of looping NASA in under the Department of Transportation, that is a big deal. That would change a lot of things as far as the way that NASA operates. And the way that it operates now, you have NASA proper, but you have all these other giant corporations that are part of like the NASA complex, the greater NASA ecosystem here in Houston. And you have all these contractors who are working there. So right now with the government shutdown, work is moving along, but you have, a huge chunk of the workers are furloughed, the ones who work for NASA because those are federal employees. And then you have all the contractors who are trying to like move forward without like a huge swath of the workers that they're used to working with and without getting anything, having access to those people or to the work that they've been doing. So the things going on at the federal level absolutely affect NASA all the time. And not just NASA, but also like the medical industry here in Houston, because they outsource a lot. They talk to each other, all these different industries, especially when it comes to life sciences and things like that. So this is affecting all kinds of, between the government shutdown and then the overall uncertainty going on with these contracts, it is affecting real people and real lives. And also, yeah, like it might affect the Artemis mission. And I think Sean Duffy mentioned it in the clip that I showed you, but right now there is kind of a renewed space race because China has recently announced that they are also trying to get to the moon. The Russians have been a little bit busy as of late, but the Chinese are like, we're not, we got time and we have all the resources, we have all the money. So they're trying to get to the moon. So the US is trying to get there before they do for the second time. What are your thoughts on this as a non-Houstonian NASA person?
I mean, I think it's obvious why Elon wanted his own guy in there. And that's precisely for stuff like this, where you guys can go on YouTube right now and look up videos about the amount of times Elon has promised something, whether it be coming from SpaceX or Tesla with the autonomous driving and announced the timeline and a date, or with the Hyperloop here in California. Like, he's announced so many things that just didn't deliver, didn't come through time and time and time again. And Tesla isn't a car company, it's a stock company. And Elon has been able to talk so many people into believing his loftiest goals and ideas. It's why his company is so insanely valuable and inflated. It's not based off of the amount of cars this guy sells, right? And so he's so used to people sort of buying his BS that, the second that it's questioned or it's like, look, we're opening this thing up to other bids. You're looking like you're not going to be able to deliver for us in time. He blows a gasket. And of course, he wants SpaceX to be tethered to the government because the United States government is the only entity with enough resources to fund this thing. Like, it's not like this thing is making anybody any money, right? It takes somebody with a vast, unlimited amount of resources to fund SpaceX until it could hopefully launch all of these loser billionaires into Mars to never return. It just seems pretty obvious why this guy is pissed. He doesn't want to be held to account to things like deliverables and timetables.
Yeah. Elon is all talk, and he kind of understands that, he functions very much kind of like the stock market, where a lot of the speculation is what matters, right? So if he promises these big, crazy things and he has all these billions and billions of dollars, people say, well, if anyone can get it done, he'll get it done. So they give him money. And that's all it takes. You just have to get through the next funding round, and you just do that by making promises. And at some point, you would think that they would say, well, he hasn't delivered in the past. His track record is not that great. And it seems like that is kind of what happened here with Sean Duffy reopening the contract, but he can't handle it. But also, like, it's important to remember, I think, like, I covered this for Rebel HQ also. So I talk a little bit more in depth over there, so you guys can check that out once it's up. But Elon Musk has branded himself as a genius, and not just a genius, but like a tech genius, right? As a scientific, techie genius man. And he's not really that, like, I think he gets away with it because he has.
He's an operations guy.
He
knows how to cut jobs, make things run efficiently, fire people. That's what he did for Tesla. He made them like.
He didn't build Tesla though, right? He had nothing to do with the tech. He bought it, right?
Whatever you want to say about Tesla, they were able to make a business out of it, put out relatively cheap cars, put out a decent amount of them. Elon was very instrumental in sort of streamlining that process. So Elon is a good ops guy. That's it.
And somehow with all of that, he managed to convince people that he was a scientist, he's a tech genius, he's a rocketeer, he's a rocket scientist, genius. Like, I don't know. It really is just branding, and it's branding, I feel like, should only go so far, and it shouldn't go so far that you're about to make $1 trillion. You know what I mean? So
every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.